Well, we're back, and now we're going to talk a little bit about the cream. This is the 2-ounce size, but you can also get it in the 1-ounce size, so that makes it a little bit smaller, doesn't it? It also makes the cost a little bit smaller. Now, the cream, I know when I started out with the cream, I was putting it on my face overnight, and I said, would you come and touch this face? What do you think of the cream I'm using? So soft, and often people would say, how do you get that? So I put some in my pocket, and I went to work. It's solid in here, but when I took it out to show them, it was liquefied. I said, oh my word, what has happened? So my old body heat is still pretty hot. Now, Lorraine, what do you know about the cream?
Well, the Lord showed me how to make the cream. And the interesting thing was, I had just got a delivery of the neem leaves from India. And it was a Saturday. And you and some of my other friends show up Saturday night for meetings at my house.
Right.
Well, I had a batch of the neem on the stove, making this cream, according to how the Lord told me to do it. And Linda Voris came in. This was somewhere around the 29th of December. Linda had a 2nd-degree burn that she was going to the for treatments.
From boiled water, took the skin right off.
Well, when I saw her, there were 2 large, it looked like lumps of coal that were implanted in her arm. It was horrible. And she walked over to the stove where I was standing with the neem oil or cream, and she said, can you put some of that on my arm? I looked at her arm, and honestly, Bonnie, I was so scared. I thought, oh my God, I didn't want to touch it. But at the same time, I knew that the Lord prompted Linda to ask, because I just knew that that woman had faith. Mm-hmm. So I put my fingers in the pot of cream that was on the stove. Now, when it's hot, it looks like an oil. Right. So I put my fingers in there without even thinking, but I didn't feel temperature. I felt nothing. Wow. I lifted my hand out and let it drip onto her arm, onto the wound on her arm, or the burn. And instantly, I also knew that she didn't feel it. And I said, you don't feel that, do you? And she said, no. First thing that she said was, there was no pain. It is amazing. Then she covered it back up. 3 days later, she sent me a picture. All the black was gone. It was red. But there was a noticeable difference, to the point where the person who was taking care of her at the hospital for that burn told her that they didn't think she'd need to go back. Right. Now, she was supposed to have treatments up until June. Mm-hmm. So December, January, February, March, April, May, 7 months. And in 3 days, the healing started.
Oh. I know she asked the caregiver, should I continue with this? She said, definitely, my dear, it's working.
And then 6 days later, you wouldn't even know she was burnt.
No discoloring, nothing.
That's absolutely amazing. And that's how I found out what the cream does. Now, at room temperature, it's solid. Right. It is a cream. It's not oil. There's a big difference between neem cream and neem oil, so it's important that you don't mix the two up. Mm-hmm. Now, the neem cream is not toxic.
So very safe to use.
It's extremely safe to use. It's just as safe as the tonic. Mm-hmm. It's directly from the neem leaf. Right. Okay. And it's doing amazing things. I mean, my granddaughter had hurt her ankle, thought she had twisted it, and she'd had pain for a few days. And I was there. And my daughter said, why don't you try some of the cream on it? Now, I don't tell people to do that, but she put the cream on, and it wasn't very long. It was less than an hour after. She said, there's no more pain. Right. Now, that's the cream.
That's pretty good.
It's amazing.
And people had cold sores fall off, and worse.
Cold sore is gone overnight by putting the cream on it. I've had people tell me that within hours, they can literally see the healing.
Change, right? Wow.
I've had people that have cut themselves, open wounds, put the neem on directly, the neem cream.
That happened to me, actually. Remember, I had a paper cut?
Did it sting when you put it on?
No. And I saw the flesh, and then It healed with no scab.
Well, I'm hearing the same thing from everybody. There's no, actually, oh my goodness, this is a good one. I was cleaning a home for these people, or their cottage actually, and when we had that big snowstorm not too long ago, the gentleman fell off his tractor and took out a 4 by 4 inch piece of skin right down to the muscle of it in his leg.
Gross.
And they asked if I could ship them some Neem. Well, they got it. They asked for it on a Friday. Now, of course, the post office is closed Saturday, Sunday, but they received it on Tuesday. I got a message back telling me it was working. Then I got another message, he's home.
Wow.
And he said that it's healing, but it's not itching when it heals.
Wow. Yeah.
That's not normal. Usually it either pain or itch.
Right.
Well, apparently with the Neem, there's no itch or pain. It just heals. No scabbing, no oozing.
Amazing. Huh?
Yes, and then there was a funny story. There's one gentleman who, I'm not going to name names because I want to protect identity of people,
Right.
because this is kind of a weird testimony. This man was taking the Neem and taking a lot of it. He loves it. And to the point where his wife was very annoyed and she refused to take it for anything.
Okay, he was always given the praise report.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So apparently a huge sore broke out on her cheek that was oozing. And I don't want to get into the details because it was kind of disgusting.
Pussy.
Oh, there, you did it. Oh, God. Anyway, he said to her, he said, let me put this Neem cream on that and it'll be gone tomorrow. So she took him up on it. And, you know, you can read between the lines. I'm sure she did it because she didn't expect anything to happen.
To prove it didn't work.
Exactly, exactly. Well, apparently the next morning she was in the washroom and he walked by, the door was open, and he noticed that it was gone.
Whoa.
So he said to her, he said, where did it go? She kicked the door shut in his face.
Terrible.
I know.
You know what? It seems like it works with belief, but it can also work if you got unbelief. You see
Well,
instant results.
That's exactly
That's what
right.
happens,
So it has really nothing to do with...
No, the person or
No.
the mindset.
No.
Then he does it. Yeah, it's a real deal, eh?
Oh, it really is. I was really amazed at that report.
Right.
And so many things, dear. You might remember some that I don't.
Lots. Check the site, right? You see lots of things.
Well, one thing that I'm hearing consistently is psoriasis clearing up. Eczema
big ones.
clearing up.
Yeah.
And we're talking chronic cases. Cases where these people have had it for many years and nothing has helped them.
Wow.
Yeah. And some of them in as little as 2 days. Right. I know when I put it on one lady, as I'm putting it on, she put her hand and she couldn't even feel where it was. And normally, of course, it was on the back of her head, but apparently, I don't have psoriasis, but apparently you can feel it, you know, because of the nature of psoriasis. But anyway, she couldn't even feel where it was. Now, that tells me that there was no sensation. Because, well, no, but if you were itchy or sore, you'd know where it was, right?
You'd find it.
Yeah, exactly. And if the skin wasn't smooth, you'd be able to feel it. So for that person to put their hand there, and they'd had psoriasis, well, probably 10 years.
Wow.
Not knowing where it started or finished.
Definite praise report.
Oh,
Right.
it's absolutely amazing. Any kind of skin rashes. I had a cold, and I took the tonic. It got rid of the cold symptoms overnight.
Right.
But my nose was kind of, you know how your nose can get sore or irritated? Yeah, from blowing your nose. I just put the Neem cream just on the area that was kind of red and irritated. The first thing, as I put it on, no pain.
Right.
Within minutes, you wouldn't even know that I had a problem there.
Right.
It cleared my sinuses. I almost always had a sinus problem. Since I've been taking the Neem tonic, I have no more sinus problem.
Yeah. Right.
And it's almost like the cream is doing what the tonic does, but the tonic, you're ingesting it.
Right. More for the organs and the inner side.
Inside.
Yeah.
the cream is for the
outside.
exactly, and I believe that's really the difference.
Right.
Although it wouldn't hurt anybody to ingest the cream, but I wouldn't tell you to do that. I mean, that would kind of be ridiculous.
We have to taste the tonic, that's bad enough, right? So we don't have cream too. Now you said there's 2 sizes of this cream, right? It's practical. Yeah.
Well, I started off with the 1 ounce,
Right.
but I had one gentleman who had psoriasis just about everywhere on his body, so 1 ounce wouldn't go too far.
Right.
So I started doing the 2 ounce bottles. But I still have my first bottle that I started with in November.
Amazing, right?
That's
So
5 months later.
Really stretches. Right.
It does.
Right.
But of course, it depends on what you're using it for.
Right.
And you mentioned about it getting warm and it was liquid.
Right.
That's normal with Neem.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. And you'll notice with the Neem oil, we'll talk about that later, but Neem at 80 degrees is solid, liquid.
Okay.
If you keep the Neem cream at 72, anywhere below 80, it would still be solid.
Right.
But it's easier to use when it's softer. So the warmer it is, the softer it is. But don't, under any circumstance, ever microwave Neem
Right.
in any form.
Blow up. Right. Yeah.
No, it doesn't blow up. It's just, don't do it.
Don't do it.
No. If you want it to be warm, put it on top of your fridge.
On the rad.
Yeah, well, in the summertime we don't have rads going, but on top of the refrigerator is an excellent place.
Right. Or in your pocket. Or in your pocket. You gotta be hot though, right?
Any other questions?
The price.
The price, yeah. The 1 ounce Neem cream is $10.
That's half the size, remember?
That's a 2 ounce bottle you
Right.
just picked up.
Right.
That's $20.
Right.
And that's the price on the Neem
Amen.
cream.
Thank you, Lorraine.
You're welcome.